Now we're just gonna just go through the steps to create a load balancer and perhaps host and a website on two Linux virtual machines using Azure. All right, now I've already logged in into my Azure account. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is to create a resource group. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and click on resource group and create. Then I'm gonna put a name of load balancer lab. Alright, and this is gonna be South Africa North. Alright, so of course with you is gonna be the free subscription, and we're just gonna go ahead and review and create, and go ahead and create. Now the next thing that we want, all right, so we have the resource group created. Now the next thing that we want to create is add a virtual network. All right, now of course we use the same what do you call the same group, load balancer lab, and then I'm just gonna put my virtual network, or my VNet or something like that, as the name. And then the next thing that we need to do is to actually configure the IP address range. We hit next and next, and then the range is fine, which is 10.0.0.0/16. That's fine. And then the subnet as well, I think, is fine. We can actually edit it out, and then we save that, and then we can just hit next and review and create. All right, and then the next thing is to actually create the actual virtual machines that we're going to be using. We can close this, and then we can go and create a virtual machine, Azure virtual machine. And then we need to give a name. So the resource group, and select the load balancer, and then the virtual name, I'm just gonna say web server 1, and then we actually insert it. We also using Ubuntu server, and then the virtual CPU is fine, and then I'm gonna use the password on the authentication. Just gonna use my name there as the username, and then the password, let's make it password 123 exclamation, password 123 exclamation, and then make sure that you've opened the inbound port, so we can hit next. The rest of the thing on the networking, we make sure that we choose my networking, and then create a new public IP as well. All right, so the deployment is complete, so I'm going to create another VM. And can choose this one. So this one, we can give it a name of web server 2. Web server. So the other one was web server 2, and let's just say web server 2. And all right, so here password, so we can do the same thing here. VNet, subnet, and just make sure that you also have the public IP. We're just going to create a public IP, and I think we can review and create. Oh, I did not actually create. I thought that I created that. All right, now what we need to do, we can actually log in into our virtual machines. So I'm going to start with web server 1, just locate its public IP, which is this one. Just going to open the command prompt. And we'll actually log in. SSH username at the IP, and then provide the password. I think I typed it wrong. It's gonna refuse because I typed it wrong. Let's try it again. All right, and then what we need to do is to install Apache. So we need to update first. Studio. Doesn't want to install Apache now for some reason. Let's use, there's another one, Nginx, that we can actually use. So I'm gonna try that one. So I can just say sudo apt install Gix. Sorry, my spelling there. I think that's fine. Okay, at least this one is installing. Okay, so this one is done, and then we're gonna say sudo systemctl status, or let's enable it, enable nginx. And then we can look at the status. CTL status. Then it's running, so it should be fine. And then now we want to create a custom HTML file. So we can just say echo h1. Let's say welcome to VM1. VM1, virtual machine 1. And maybe a little bit of a paragraph. Say this is a test page. This is a test page, and okay, networking settings. Oh, there. So what we need to do, network security group. Okay, it was created when we actually created. So what we need to do is just to create an inbound rule. So service is gonna be HTTP. So that's fine. So we add this one. All right. SSH is already there. You can actually see it is already there. Okay. I think we must, let's try it again now. So I'm just gonna type the HTTP, and then that address. I don't know if we need to restart the server or what. Let's see. Again, it shouldn't take this long. Let's restart. Let me see. Yeah. I can't remember now. There we go. Now it's working. You see. So I just needed to reboot my server. All right. Now we need to repeat the same thing that we've done on server 1 on server 2. So I'm going to go to server 2 and we will go to the networking settings because we need to allow HTTP. So we're going to go to networking settings and then we're going to go to web server 2 NSG, which is the security group there. So a security group is more like a firewall. Then you can see that SSH is already allowed. So we need to actually add another rule. Let's go to inbound. So we're going to go to inbound security rules and then we're going to add another rule. So this is going to be HTTP. Okay, no, the source is actually any IP address and then the port range is any destination, any, and then the service is going to be HTTP, which is port 80, and then it's TCP, and then we want to allow it. The priority is fine. You can add a description there if you want to, but that's fine. And then we're gonna click on add. So normally it's a good idea to actually restart the virtual machine when you've changed something like the firewall rules. So I just want to restart it. Okay, so we have restarted this virtual machine, and then now I'm gonna just log in into it and install the web server there. So this SSH. And provide the password. And then the first thing that we actually need to do is to let me just move this line up. I'm gonna clear everything so we can move that line up. So the first thing is to update everything. So update. Okay, so when it's done, then we need to install nginx. So we can just say sudo apt install nginx. And then we need to start the service. Systemctl start nginx. And then we need to enable it. So sudo systemctl enable nginx. All right, and then we can actually see that it's actually running. And then now we're gonna create our custom HTML file. So we're gonna echo h1 and say welcome to VM or web server 2. Then we can maybe have a paragraph as well and say this is a test page. And then we want to do this just move this out of the way. In this directory, www HTML and then slash index.html. Oh, sorry, echo. So it was complaining about echo not being found. It must be echo here. And we can fix it and then let's try it again. Okay, right now it actually went through. Okay, let's cross our fingers that everything is gonna work. Now I'm gonna just copy this and we can just paste and go to there. Yes, now see it's working. So but it's, you can see now we're on web server 2, and then if I go to web server 1, let's actually go to web server 1, then we get a different message as well, right? I just need to get another tab because now these things of teams, you can see now that we on web server 1 and then web server 2, web server 1 and then web server 2. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and create a load balancer. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and just sort of create a load balancer. Now, to create a load balancer, we will just click home and then add a resource, or if it's not here, so but we can search there load, and then you can see here load balancers, and we can click on the create to create a new load balancer, and I'm gonna select now this group of load balancer lab. Okay, so this, and let's give it a name. I'm just gonna say Azure AZ for load balancer, and also it's in South African North. Okay, and the type will be public. So the type will be actually public, and okay, and then I think the tire is fine, and then we can go next to the front end configuration, and then we want to add a new front end IP configuration as well. So we can give it a name, AZ LB IP or something like that. Or let's say config. Actually, this one is going to be config, and then for a public, I'm going to create new. So again, this is going to be a AZ LB IP. So this will actually create a new, and then we don't have a gateway load balancer, so we're gonna go ahead and click save. All right, and then we can go to configure the backend pools. Now we're gonna click on add. So I'm just gonna say AZ LB pool or back. Oh yeah, I think that's fine. Backend pool, and then select the virtual network, and then we can add our back pool, so we can add both of the web servers there. All right, so we can actually add them both. So you can see you've got web server 1 and web server 2, and we can click save. Now we can hit next. Now we can add a new rule as well. So which is gonna be AZ LB rule. Front-end IP is this one to be created, and then back-end pool is the AZLB pool, and then the protocol is TCP. And then we need to actually create a new health probe as well. So we're gonna say create new health probe, and then I'm just gonna say LZLB health. So that's gonna be a TCP, and we can actually save that. And then here it's gonna be port 80, and then also there's gonna be port 80, and then the rest of the thing, I think the rest of the things we can leave them like that, and then save. And then next, we don't need an outbound rules, and then we can review and create. All right, so validation passed, and we can go ahead and create. And this is complete. Looking for the public IP. I saw it somewhere. There we go. So, and we will just go to it. Not go and search. Actually, I want to do this. Paste and go. There we go. So you see now I'm actually using the load balancer, and if I refresh, they should distribute the traffic between web server 2 and web server 1. Let's just make sure that the web server 1 is online as well. So we'll have to make sure that web server 1 is online. Let's just make sure that web server 1, yes, it's actually running. You can actually see here the status running. So let me just do a hard research, what you call refresh. Is it Control Shift R, or what is it? Control Shift R. What's a hard refresh on? I'm gonna open Edge. So it must actually switch between web server 1 and web server 2. So I'm on Edge here, and paste and go. You see, so if I actually go use Edge, then it's actually switching between the two servers. So they are these servers, they are sharing the load. So meaning if maybe it's a busy website or anything like that, or an online shop that is always busy, maybe during Black Friday or something like that, you can have your load being shared between the two different servers. All right, so this is web server 1 and web server 2. Now, what we've done here, we've configured a load balancer in Azure to distribute the traffic between two Linux virtual machines hosting a website. Right, so we created a virtual network, we deployed two virtual machines, and then we installed a web server on each VM or virtual machine, and then we've set up a load balancer with a back-end pool, a health probe, and a load balancing rule. So this is actually crucial for understanding how to achieve a high availability and reliability for your applications in Azure. So this is not only for websites only. All right, just wanted to do something simple, but also for web applications. So think about web applications like Facebook. How many people are logging on Facebook? So they've got servers, edge servers all around the world, that will handle the load so that one server cannot handle the load alone.